Hello, so we're doing Chapter 5, Lesson 3 today, and it is over the slope-intercept formula. The slope-intercept formula is the y equals mx plus b. Now the x and y represent the coordinate value that you usually see as x and y. So they will be substituted here and here when they need to be. The m represents the slope value, and we'll probably be finding that for the most part. And the b represents the constant, which is the y-intercept value. And that means where does this line that you're going to graph actually cross the y-axis? And there is one situation in which the line that you graph does not cross the y-axis. So just be aware of that. We won't see it today, but it can happen. All right, so later on, down at the bottom, so if you were given the formula in the following information, how would you put it into the formula in the correct location? Well, we have the formula y equals mx plus b. They give us the slope, so you basically have to put it in place of the m. So you rewrite it as y equals 3x, and we have the y-intercept as 5. So we put that over here where the b is. We substitute it in as plus 5. And now you have rewritten the information that was given to you for the line in the correct order of y equals mx plus b. On example 2, we're going to write an equation given only 2 points. The equation we're going to write is going to be in the form y equals mx plus b. We're going to start off with the 2 coordinates. We have 0, 3, and we know that as x and y. We have 2 and negative 1. That's also x and y. So we have to be able to tell the difference between them. So with the first coordinate, we're going to put it x sub 1, y sub 1. That just tells us it's coordinate 1. For the 2, negative 1, we're going to put it x sub 2, y sub 2. That just tells us it's coordinate 2. It doesn't matter if you flip-flop them, coordinate 1 versus coordinate 2, as long as you just stay consistent. We're going to use the formula. The slope equals the subtraction, the difference between the y values and the difference between the x values. We're looking at the rise over the run. Again, that's your slope. So, over here, we look at our y values. What was the y value for coordinate 2? It was negative 1. We subtract the y value for coordinate 1. We put it there. On the bottom, what is the x value for coordinate 2? It's right here. It's 2. Subtract the x value for coordinate 1, 0. Now that we have everything substituted in, we subtract. Negative 1, subtract 3, we get negative 4. On the bottom, we have 2, subtract 0, we get 2. Now we simplify again. We get negative 4 divided by 2, we get negative 2. All right, so that is our slope, which goes right here. We now need to find the y-intercept. And we can do that by the visual representation that they give us. Look right here. Where does the blue line cross the y-axis? It's at this location right here. And we know that that is the value 3, the altitude of 3. So over here, where our intercept is, we can say it's plus 3. That's your y-intercept. The slope, we already calculated it. It was right here. It's negative 2. Now, that is the simplified answer, but also think of this as y equals negative 2 over 1, x plus 3. The top is just a more simplified version of the bottom equation. But if you have to think of rise over run, it's going to be negative 2 over 1. But it's basically the same thing as negative 2. All right, on to example 3. Now we want to graph the equation. They already gave it to us in slope-intercept form. So this is probably the easiest form of an equation to graph. because you can start right off with the y-intercept. It's at 0, 1 right here. So we go over to 0 on our x. We go up to 1, which is about right there. I'm a little bit off maybe because my calibration, but it's right there, 0, 1. Now we want to use the slope of negative 2/3. So we're going to come down 2. We go down 1, down 2. We go over 3. Right about there. And that's our next coordinate right there. There's our slope. I'm just going to erase the lines in between. All right, so there's 2 good coordinates. And now we just basically want to take a straight edge, connect the dots. All right, and there's our line. So we notice that we have the diagonal line that goes through our 2 coordinates. It's a negative slope, so it should be going in this direction. So right off, I can visually look at it and say, yeah, that's a pretty good representation of that line. All right, our last example of the day. Graph an equation given in standard form. So remember, standard form is the equation that is ax plus by equals c. So you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, this equation is in the same form. But the problem is I want to convert it, I want to manipulate it into this form. I want to get y by itself. So I'm going to manipulate it. So I have 5x minus 3y equals 6. I want to get y by itself. First thing I want to do is get rid of that positive 5x. I want to cancel it out. So the opposite, the inverse of positive 5 is subtracting 5x. So I got to subtract 5x from both sides. Cancel that out. I'm left with negative 3y equals negative 5x plus 6. All right, now I want to get rid of that negative 3 coefficient. Well, how is the 3 attached to the y? It's attached by multiplication. So the inverse is to divide. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Left-hand side, everything cancels out but the y. That's what you're looking for anyways. In the middle here, we have 5 divided by 3. We're going to leave it as an improper fraction. So we have 5/3 x. The sign is going to be positive because the opposite of negative gives you a positive. The 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. We look at our signs. The opposite of positive is negative. So now I have my simple equation in the y-intercept slope form. It's y equals 5/3 x minus 2. I want to graph it. Easiest thing to do when you're graphing. Since it's in this order, I look at my y-intercept. It's negative 2. Remember, that tells you where's it across the y-axis. It crosses at negative 2. So I come down, I find negative 2, right about there. And I have a positive 5/3 slope. So I'm going to go up 5. So I've gone up 2. I'm going to go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go over 2. I'm going to go over 1 more. That's 5/3. Now I'm only drawing those lines so that you can actually see as my movement. Now I'm going to erase those. And now there's my 2 good coordinates. The slope was up 5 over 3. It's a positive slope, so my line goes in this direction. So visually, real quickly, you know that that is the correct answer. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask some of your friends, or please ask your teacher. Thank you.